Hi, my name's Lee Wallace, and I'm the director of SHARC, the Sydney Centre for Humanities and Social Science Advanced Research. We're here today because Ed and I are applying for the Periscope program. The project we're working on, Access All Areas, has its origin in work that we've been doing with Anna Noonan from the Sydney School of Rural Health and Reproductive Health Services in remote and rural Australia. I met Ed in the context of the FAS Research Impact Accelerator, who was doing not dissimilar work with a group from Allied Health. So perhaps, Ed, you can tell us about that.
Yeah, I've been working in allied health as a speech pathologist for many years, and also in social enterprise, trying to figure out how communities can access services. So I've been working on a few different projects, one especially in the Research Impact Accelerator, figure out what this invisible infrastructure is behind social services.
In terms of the closest market solution, I attended the recent Sydney Knowledge Hub workshop that was sponsored by the Office of the Prime Minister and Cabinet. The whole purpose of that workshop was to think whether there was widespread interest in the development of a digital tool that could map service provision. There was also an acknowledgement that many of these organisations, the Snow Foundation, Benevolence, are doing that mapping for their own purposes to find out where the need is and also to evaluate impact. So I was surprised, one, that I've been invited along, and two, that the people in the room had already heard about the abortion desert mapping tool. So we already have some credibility in the space. We know people are thinking about the same problem, if not quite the same solution that we are. So again, Ed, can you tell us about what other things exist currently?
There are a few tools around, like the Women's Health Atlas, but one of the limitations of tools like that are it's often showing us raw counts of services in a particular area, or just talking about the distance from a given location and the nearest service, but it doesn't give us detail about other kinds of barriers to access, like social barriers to access.
So in terms of what's different with our tool, we need to factor in things like the digital provision of service, because most of the mapping tools don't cover that. They still work on land-based methodologies. I think I'd say we're very comfortable working in community. Ed and Anna both have long experience working with regional and remote communities. And I think we bring that perspective and that lived experience factor in, which is why we want to include the geolocated stories in the tool. We built the abortion desert tool thanks to the proof of concept funding. We took both a tricky but a very attention-seeking problem to begin with, abortion and reproductive health services. We think we want to scale that out. And I'll just let Ed finish on why it is him that's doing this. So
I want my children to grow up in a world where their postcode doesn't matter, where they can live where they want, to be able to access the kinds of health and social services that will help them and their people in their community to live their best life. I co-founded about 8 years ago now, Umbo, that came out of my PhD research that basically went to communities and identified that there weren't enough services there, and we needed to solve that with a community-informed solution. So I've built a social enterprise with my co-founders that has a team of over 70 staff now, has saved the government over $25 million simply in travel budgets in the NDIS to date. So I think that's a really solid foundation that complements the other skills in the team: community engagement, research, and really rich connections across university and industry ecosystems.
the last thing we need to do is just state that we agree to all the guidelines and learning commitment. We are totally 100% committed to this project. I have some things to prove for SHARC, and Periscope is the next step.